Rock bottom to me was not wanting to get out of bed.
Some days I look in the mirror and I hate myself.
I would have nightmares every time I would sleep about hurting my children.
If I just denied it and I didn't tell anybody, I would figure it out. I could make myself better.
I always say that it was paralyzing. The anxiety was paralyzing. We finally had the baby that we tried for so long to have, and he was here and it was us, and everything was perfectly how I wanted it, but I felt horrible.
The first time I went through it, it was really rough. I had a 3-year-old boy. I would get really angry, and I would get my anger at him. I would scream at him and spank him and do horrible things.
It got to be where I wrote letters to my kids because I was going to die, and had the funeral planned, and and that's not me. That's not me.
I tell my husband, crying, that they'd be better off without me and that I should leave.
It started really in pregnancy. I was worried about what kind of a mom I'd be. I was irritable, and I was just sad. With my son, I had a severe panic attack. I was convinced that I was a failure. I had stopped nursing him, and I was convinced that the formula that I was feeding him was poison.
I can tell you from the viewpoint of a physician and from the viewpoint of a mother, since I myself experienced postpartum depression, I was paralyzed by my fears and anxieties of being a new mom. And I find that ironic because when I was pregnant with him, I had gone through medical school, my pediatric training, and that was supposed to make me a mom who knew everything right off the bat. So I don't know if that weighed heavily on me as well, but regardless, I had no clue what I was doing.
I was looking on the internet, like postpartum anxiety, and I wasn't really finding anything that was explaining to me that anxiety and insomnia can be part of postpartum depression.
When I would go to my pediatrician, they would kind of slough it off, I guess, saying, you know, it's just the baby blues, you'll be okay. Then I would try to look in the phone book and find anything I could about depression, and I would end up going into a voicemail where it just made me feel that more alone, that there must really not be anything out there for me.
When I finally went to Poem with Tanya and Amy, the first meeting I started to talk, and then I just sobbed the whole time, because here I felt like people understood. I wasn't alone.
It was 2 days after we had found out about him. We'd called that night, and then I talked to Tanya Sunday. It was like there was help, you know. She just said, "You're not alone. Do you feel comfortable coming to a meeting?"
Before the support group, I wasn't really connecting to anything. And the minute that connection took place, it was definitely the turning point that I finally connected to another human being that, you know, and many human beings in the room that understood what I was going through. Those other mothers were my lifeline. Once I got better, I had to be that light for another mother that was in the depths of darkness, that I could say, I've been there and I got through it, and you can too.
I found someone who wasn't judging me, and someone who understood everything that I was saying. Once I started going to support groups, I realized there were so many other women out there. I didn't want them to feel the shame and guilt that I felt for not doing well as a mom. So I said I'd help her facilitate, and then the more we learned, the more we decided, okay, let's make this more than what it is, and that's where we came up with Poem. It was an experience for both of us. We both knew what we wanted, but we go at it very different ways. We made it to where it was open to everybody. to where it was accessible.
There needs to be awareness of postpartum depression, because that was the hardest obstacle for me to get through this, was finding the help that I needed. Because if it weren't for Poem, nobody else could help me. My doctor couldn't help me, my pediatrician couldn't help me. They didn't recognize what was going on. I've given my doctor my Poem business card and my counselor's business card, and I told him, when you see a woman that looks like I looked, that is completely panicked, please give this to her or tell her about this.
What Poem provides has changed and saved my life. That's probably the best way to put it. It's nice to be able to give back and to help other women who have been in similar situations, thanks to them. So that's what I do.
We're the source of support for pregnant and new moms who feel like something's not right. To be that mom-to-mom support where they can feel safe, they can get resources, whether it's professional help through a counselor or another doctor, whether it's connecting with other moms groups, but to be that source of support and resources for moms and families in our community.
Saved my life. It saved my life. I mean, kept me here. Kept me with my babies and my family. And I think my husband would say the same thing. So, I mean, it kept me here on the ground.